George Clooney and Matt Damon. A reminder that 70 years on, thousands of artworks stolen by the Nazis remain scattered across the globe. Well, the culture minister, this Tuesday, enjoying her own Monuments Men moment, restoring to their rightful owners 3 paintings stolen by the Nazis and their collaborators during World War II.
7 decades after they went missing, these 3 paintings are finally going back to their rightful owners.
We were in shock after so many years of not knowing where these paintings disappeared to after the war. I mean, we're all very excited. I only wish the whole family could be here.
This 14th century Memmi masterpiece, Madonna and Child, was stolen by Nazi soldiers from a Jewish banker in Cannes in 1944. For the families involved, the return of the artwork means more than their monetary value.
There's a lot of emotion because these pieces, these works of art, are still around for the grandchildren. The Oppenheimer family were caught and put away in camps. They never saw their grandchildren.
At the end of the Second World War, thousands of pieces of looted and appropriated art, many belonging to Jewish families, was unclaimed. Those thought to have come from France were given to the country's top museums, like the Louvre.
These restitutions are very important. They're an acknowledgement of the atrocities families suffered during World War II. Obviously, they erase neither the pain nor the horror of the tragedy. Its memory runs through generations.
France has now returned 10 looted paintings in the past year as it continues its restitution efforts. A further 2,000 pieces are still thought to be in the hands of state institutions.
And with us to talk about it all, Anna Monteagle, the great-grandnephew of and an heir to the estate of John and Anna Jaffe, 2 British Jews of German origin who lived on the French Riviera, their art collection confiscated after their death in 1942. Can you tell us, Anna Monteagle, there are works that concern you personally. Tell us a bit about them.
Well, this art collection of ancient paintings was well known in my family. My mother told me often about it, but we regarded it, the family thought that we would never find them, that they had been taken by the Nazis somewhere. And when actually we were lucky enough to find some of these paintings back, for us it was so important to see what our family had felt all these years before, why they had chosen those paintings, which were English paintings in their majority, but also Flemish, some Italian, a few French. It really was a very important part of the family culture. It was essential for us, very, very important to find them back. Every time we see one of those paintings or one of those we hope to recover, it's really a very, very strong moment for all our family, especially as I'm one of several cousins, and some of our older cousins actually saw the paintings in my family's house, on Nice, Promenade des Anglais, very close from the Masséna house, now Masséna Museum.
And this is all happening 70 years on. Why are these restitutions happening now?
Well, in our case, which of course I suppose every case is different, although there are some common points, the French MNRs warned us, announced that we would be returned 2 paintings.
And the MNRs being the National Museum Restitution Organization.
Yes, it's former OBIP. They have had several names. And the MNR told us, but just previously we had been contacted by dishonest people who wanted to extract money from us, who said they had proofs, the only copy in the world of a sales catalogue, etc., which was not true. There There are a dozen copies of this catalogue. So
but why is the French government bringing them forth now?
Well, I think it's true. There has been a long historical work. It takes time. 70 years is a little long, but really it takes time. And France, I think, is not the worst country by far. It has established this system, MNR, etc. And they want to have...
Because a lot of these, we should tell the viewers, a lot of these paintings have wound up in museums, stolen paintings in prominent museums.
Yes, in our case, we were returned paintings by national museums, but there are
And did those national museums know that they were stolen paintings?
They were MNR, so MNRs are all stolen paintings. But it's true, there hadn't been any real genealogical research. My grandfather had claimed these paintings with many details, a whole documentation. They had probably 100 important paintings, but of course he remembered maybe 50 of the most important. He didn't describe all the others. But he had made all his declaration and his description of the paintings. But we thought, since nothing had come, that it was too late. But then it started, and then we realized that there were other paintings in a Texas museum, in private collections, in etc.
And sorry, but are these museums, were they sloppy or unscrupulous?
You mean the French museums or in general?
In general.
In general, well, for instance, if I take the example of the Fort Worth Museum in Texas, if it's all right with you, we saw that the creator of this museum, who was a Texas oil millionaire, had asked some experts to buy hundreds of or dozens of masterpieces to create the museum. So one of these paintings, Turner painting, had been bought actually from a person who bought it from the Vichy pro-Nazi system in Nice. So really, if they had looked a little, they would have found. But then it wasn't this creator of the museum. It was the intermediary who was responsible. And our name, Jaffé, was Jaffé, the family. And there are hundreds of Jaffé in the United States, for instance. Many asked to get this painting back. And the museum said every time, no, you're not the right one, which was true. And then we came, and after some strong discussion, they decided to return. So
pending compensation.
No, they returned.
They returned the paintings.
The painting. Afterwards, they bought it in a public auction, which was all right with us because all these paintings were sold in a public auction, which was a completely crooked public auction, where all paintings were described as copies, as so they were sold for a few francs. And we thought that selling it again in a real auction was putting the situation back to normal.
Was righting a wrong. And you were saying that to us before there were too many inheritors in any ways to keep it for one person.
11, yes.
Not all countries have this system, and you're going to Switzerland later this week. The Swiss don't have this kind of agreement.
Well, the Swiss have signed to agree with the Washington Principles. That's the Swiss state, which means, on the whole, that you discuss with the family, you return, or etc. But they are a federal country, and you have very local authorities, and local authorities are different. But what I'm going to do with one of my cousins mostly is to try to inform the population of a small city about art looting, because they simply don't know much about it, actually. And we are taking advantage of the film which you
Monument
mentioned,
Man.
Monument Man. We're going to show them books. We're going to discuss with the people, and then maybe they will think, because Switzerland is a very democratic country in principle, and maybe they will have a votation, a referendum. But the first thing is to inform.
Inform
this
them
is
about
what
it.
we want to do.
Anna Monteagle, I want to thank you. And of course, lots of works, as you say, still coming to light. We saw that the case in Germany, I believe it was, last year. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay with us. Much more to come here on France 24. We'll have more news, plus the day's business and